What is going on, my Masketeers? Welcome back to another episode, and today we are here talking about the Rings of Power, episode 6. And within this episode, you know what I'll say? This was probably the most action-packed, essentially. The most action-packed episode because finally things are popping off and it's coming to a head. Well, not really a head, but the first real conflict that we've seen in this entire series thus far. So what happens is we have the people in the Southlands who are being led by Browen, and she and Arendir are preparing themselves for the orcs attack, and they're being led by Orin. So he knows that that little scabbard or the hilt, the sword of power, whatever the hell that relic is, that MacGuffin that we don't really know what it does or what it's for, but Owen knows that that is in the town, right? Or the villagers have it. So his plan is to send his orc army to attack them, get the relic, the hilt, and then, you know, set off whatever dastardly villainous plan that he has going on. And so in this episode, we are literally seeing the people of the Southlands prepare for that confrontation. Then we have Galadriel, who essentially is making her way across the sea from Numenor to the Southlands. But this episode primarily focuses on the little conflict between the villagers and Orin's orc army, right? And that's literally it, essentially. Now, a few things in this episode happen where, one, it left me with a few questions, but also two, I walked away with a weird feeling. And I'm going to get more into that when I get to my verdict. So let me tell you the good of the episode. The good of the episode, I would say 100% was the action. Because again, this freaking show has been going on for 6 episodes now, and there was no action whatsoever. Simply for the fact that we finally get to see some action. And let me not lie, it was really good. It was actually really good. My boy Orindir held it down. I'm butchering his name. I know. I can feel it in my soul. I can feel it. That's not how you say his name. But fuck it. We're gonna roll. Orindir, or Orindir, whatever the hell you say it. The only black elf on the damn squad was out here holding it down. Listen, this man was flipping. This man was doing the arrows like Legolas. He was out here doing the acrobatics. He had to fight one big org. And he was really out here moving with the best of them. He kind of reminded me of Oberon in A Game of Thrones. I didn't mean to make a comparison there. I know enough people on the internet are doing that, but he was literally that good. The action was top notch. I literally was really engaged in the action. Now, apart from the action, again, visually, it's always amazing. The set pieces looks great. That's one of the things that is a big appeal about this show. It looks like a movie just done as a show. So again, that was always going to be up there. And in this episode, it was shining through yet again. Now, let me get down to my negative or the bad. I can't lie to you. This one really felt like it was rushed in certain parts. And when I say rushed, I mean plot armor upon plot armor. Because what's happening with the orgs and the villagers is one thing. On the other side, we have Galadriel, who's literally making her way to the Southlands. And again, the way she got there, it was so cliche. So cliche because again, there's no way they could have made it in time. There's no way they could have made it in time, but they did. And even how they made it, again, it just felt so hollow because the timing just didn't feel right, especially in terms of the sequence. There gets to a point where the orcs are about to break through the door, but when they start breaking down the door, it's nighttime. It's literally nighttime when they start breaking down the door. Galadriel arrives in the morning. So I don't know how it takes freaking 12 hours to break a door down, or how we go from the door breaking down to the orcs being inside to somehow it's now daytime and Galadriel makes it to save the day. And again, it just felt hollow. That's the one thing which I definitely would say about this show. When it comes to the pacing, because it's been so slow, I feel like the pacing shift didn't really work that well. From a spectacle standpoint, it looked good. All the action sequence looked good. But when you step back and you look at it from a story standpoint, it kind of feels a bit disconjointed. For me anyway, I wasn't really feeling the way they did that whole sequence and how she was able to get there in time with her 10,000 knights or her 5,000 knights. I was thinking to myself, this is looking a little bit crazy, you know. At least with Gandalf was using magic in the movies to get some of these things popping. He was out here using magic. So you're like, okay, cool. I can kind of see, or you can dismiss dispel belief because it's Gandalf, and you think to yourself, he used some magic to do the thing. Over here, no. This is all just pure manpower and horsepower, man. Somebody needs to give all those horses the best hay and apples that you can find. They were out here really galloping for 40 days and 40 nights without rest to get there at that time. Galadriel, again, I don't really care for her. She's just there. And that's another thing which I didn't like about this episode as well. Essentially, we have like the crowning of a new king, but even how it was done, it's just missing that element. It just feels so dull. Halbrand basically stands before all the people. Browen is looking at him like, oh, like, are you the promised king? And then he just says, yeah. And everyone starts cheering, oh, hell, the king. And you're like, you lot ain't gonna check no credentials. You're not gonna ask him for his ID, his passport, his driving license, nothing, just to make sure that he is who you think he is. So what? He's got a pouch, just got a sigil on it. It's not even like it's burnt onto his skin, or it's something where, you know, you can tell that the royal family possesses. I don't know, something that lets you know that he's from the royal family outside of something he could have stolen off the royal family. It's just like, you're the king? He's like, yep. They're like, oh yeah, oh hell, the king. And again, it just felt kind of hollow. There's no build up to it. Unless they do a little switcheroo. He ain't the king. Maybe he killed the real king. That would be interesting. If they did that, then they would win me on that aspect. With that being said, my verdict for the episode, I'm going to give this episode, just based off the action alone, I'm going to give it a 7 out of 10. I'll probably say this is like the highest rating I've given this season thus far. It was good. I felt that certain parts weren't great, but I can kind of get behind it in a sense. Kind of. They haven't fully lost me, but I can't lie. They need to do something that makes me think to myself, okay, cool. We know where we're going. We've done enough of this whole slow burn. Let's really turn it up a notch and let's actually get involved and make people interested in the show. Because funny enough, it's only got 8 episodes. So literally in 2 more episodes, season 1 is done. And the fact episode 6 is where we get some action, that's now where I'm thinking to myself, okay, so does that mean that for episode 7 it's going to be more action, and in episode 8 it's going to die down? Or is it going to be 7 and 8 is just action upon action? I don't know. We're going to have to find out. But those were my thoughts and my opinions. Please let me know what you thought of the show if you are watching it. And like always, sound off in the comments. Guys, please like, comment, subscribe, and I will catch you at the next masquerade. Peace.